Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with me, Maha Maktoum, only on PTV World this morning. And unfortunately, there's no Shazad today, so I feel a bit like I'm missing my partner in crime, but he will be back with us very soon. But despite that, we have a wonderful show lined up for you. We are going to share some information about Pakistan, about the legal system, one of the aspects which could affect all of us. I mean, God forbid we have to go through anything, but it's best to be equipped with all the information on how our system works, what resolutions are being passed, how they're being updated, and how they affect our lives, in the coming future, if they even affect us. But before we start that, we have in the second half a wonderful guest as well. He is making waves on the underground scene and is slowly cracking the commercial market as well. But before that, we've got some wonderful stories for you to keep you interested and wake you up early in the morning. Let's look at what's happening around the world. The world's first passenger drone named EHang 184 made its first public flight in South China. The electrically powered EHang 184 can carry a single passenger weighing up to 100 kg for a 23-minute flight at sea level at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. That's amazing. We'll soon have flying cars. Moving on, hundreds of vintage cars are on display in Paris, including a rare vehicle owned by the late Johnny Hallyday. The singer, dubbed the French Elvis, the Retromobile exhibition marking its 43rd year bring together over 600 cars and an array of industry professionals at the Porte de Versailles in Paris. The vintage cars are absolutely beautiful. It's amazing the people who put the effort into collecting them and maintaining pieces of history. And moving on, as this year's New York Fashion Week, the show set it to start, fashionistas are keeping a keen eye on trends and activism on the runways, and from afar, more than 100 designers will present their spring-summer collections beginning from the 8th of February and ending on the 14th. And there are some very interesting styles and fashions that will be coming in. And as we mentioned yesterday, the 90s styles coming back. I'm not sure how I feel about that, though. Excellent. So I'm just looking at the clothes, and I realized that about 15, 20 years ago, we owned those clothes as well. But anyway, it should be interesting to see what we can also recreate in Pakistan as well. So those are the top stories for the entertainment aspect of it. So now we have a very interesting show for you. As you know, we need to know what our rights are within the country. We've been, trying to learn about the Constitution. We've been trying to learn about the legal systems, but in a completely detached from the political aspect of it or anything that may be, have different agendas. We're just trying to share information so you know what is the current situation and how does it affect our lives and how can we use it. In 2016 and 2017, a bill and an act was passed. It was called the Alternative Dispute Resolution Act. And how does it affect our lives? I was looking online yesterday, and because this is something that happens abroad as well. People use arbitrators for disagreements, for out-of-court settlements. But within Pakistan, it's a very complicated situation because socially we have class structure, we have a political structure. So these things do have an effect on our day-to-day lives or when we use the systems. The alternative dispute resolution is when the parties that are involved in some legal case are disagreeing, the court will appoint or choose a neutral arbitrator. Now, what does that mean? What impact could it have on us if we are, involved in some court cases? Maybe it could be domestic, maybe it could be business-wise, it could be any form of legal case. So to discuss this, we've been joined by Shahid Akhtar. He is the president and CEO of Conciliators Without Borders. He is an ADR trainer and he's also a conflict analyst. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Excellent. So this is a it's a serious such conversation. For some people, they might think it's a bit, boring, but it's something that could affect us in our day-to-day life. So I'll start with the first question, which I think a lot of people are wondering. What exactly is alternative dispute resolution?
I think you hit the nail on the head by asking this question. Well, first of all, serious conversation does not mean that it has to be grim conversation.
Yeah, okay.
So you can take it in a light-hearted way, because ADR is not a very technical, definable term as it is.
Right.
ADR is a huge term, which means alternative to. Now, question is alternative to what?
Right.
Alternative dispute resolution is generally understood as alternative to litigation.
Right.
And the reason it is alternative to litigation is because in litigation, what happens, there are two parties, they have a dispute, like everybody else. Dispute is something that is with every aspect of life, no matter what happens, there'll be a dispute. Wherever there are two people, two opinions, they may differ.
Right.
If they differ, how do they deal with it? Generally, people choose a confrontational approach. ADR tries to provide you an alternative to that confrontation and to that adversarial approach.
Right.
What it does, it empowers you as an individual. You mentioned something about the legislation that came out. You know, this is beyond the legislation.
Right.
Legislation is there, but if you go to a court, perhaps chances are it's already too late because the issue has already gone to the court.
Right.
The spirit of ADR is that when a conflict is brewing, you handle it at that time in a way that the two adversaries who are parties to a dispute actually become partners.
Right.
That is the spirit of ADR.
Okay, and that's interesting. But so from the information, it says that the court appoints these, in order to get this ADR
Yes.
resolution. So how do you get to that point without getting to court? Because if the court's appointing it, then what's happening here?
Okay, let me take it in an international context first,
Okay.
and then we'll come to Pakistan.
Right.
What has been happening in Europe, America, Canada, Australia, is that gradually, courts have been insisting that before the cases come to them, the two parties should try to find a mediator to resolve them.
Yes.
And in many cases, the courts have been authorized to tell the parties to first try those methods, and if they fail, only as a last resort, the issue will go to litigation.
Right.
That generally happens when the two parties have already gone to the court. But even before that, when the issue is being debated, the two lawyers can get together as well, and they can find a mediator. But
Okay.
but even before that, this is not the limit. I mentioned to you the spirit of ADR.
Yeah.
The spirit of ADR is that the two parties who are having that dispute, they can actually find means to craft their own resolution of the dispute.
Right.
And appoint a mediator. There's a difference between a court-appointed arbitrator
Right.
and a mediator. ADR has become now worldwide, the most popular form of ADR has become mediation, which is different from arbitration, because in arbitration, you're still looking at someone who is dictating a decision on you.
Okay, and that's fine. But now let's bring it back to the national level. That's the international level. So we know within Pakistan, the legal framework is a
Yes.
bit outdated, which people are trying to work on, and these are discussions that are happening. But how does this now affect Pakistanis and people living within Pakistan? Because we're not at the mediation point. We go to court.
You're right.
Yeah. So how does it affect us now?
Actually, it's very topical, because just next week, I'm addressing a group of judges
Right.
and talking to them about exactly how they can, in their individual capacity, use ADR, because ADR is a very creative process. it is not. You put it very rightly that its system is outdated. Because what happens, the way things have been done in the past,
Right.
judiciary in many cases just continues going
Yeah.
on the same track.
That's fine, yeah.
Why are you doing it? Because it was done before. Why was it done before? It because it was done before that. ADR provides you, and my message to that group of judges that we'll be talking to is this, that in their individual capacity, when a case comes to them, then regardless of the technicalities, they should be able to encourage the two parties that you have come to me, I will listen to your case, but if you want a decision where one of you is not necessarily a winner and the other a loser, but both of you can walk out from this place with something that works for you, they should encourage that mediation. And many judges are actually doing it in their individual capacity.
Wonderful.
They too, like you said, they too are very dissatisfied with the outdatedness of the.
No, so that's the thing that we're not. So that's one side of it. So we'll put the whole system aside. That's not what I don't want to focus on that. What I want to talk about is because this is when I was reading up yesterday. There was a bit of a hurdle. There were people who were putting up questions regarding the resolution. Within Pakistan, my question, let me try and word it differently, is how does it now affect the citizens and civilians of Pakistan now? So someone who's going to court, someone's got some dispute, they're at the court level. So how will this resolution impact them now?
It simply will impact them in a way that their procedure, they're actually the decision, speed of decision will be much faster.
Okay.
Justice delayed is always justice denied.
Absolutely.
Chances are that with this, people will be able to get that justice in time.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that the system is applied in the true spirit of ADR.
Okay.
Because if the courts go through bureaucracy, then I want to caution you that then this system will not be as effective as it should be.
Okay.
Because it will lose the content, lose the purpose of ADR.
Exactly. So that moves on perfectly to my next point, that the neutrality of it and the other queries questioning regarding this resolution was that there are certain legal cases and situations that should not be involved in ADR. That's number one. For example, murder, but it should include, domestic violence, those kind of, separation, all these kind of things, inheritance. So regarding that aspect of it, how do we make sure things are kept neutral with the arbitrator? One person is not being favored over another within cases.
That's why you should actually take it out of the court system in a way.
Right, okay.
And the way you take it out of the court system is that the two parties who are going through that dispute must understand what ADR is.
Right.
And that's where programs like yours can actually help people understand a great deal about what ADR is, how they as individuals can use it,
Okay, so
how you as Maha can use ADR before you or someone else decides to go to the court or to a confrontational or adversarial.
So tell us.
Okay. What happens with ADR generally is this, that there is the most popular thing now is mediation.
Yeah.
You have an issue and the other person, your adversary, is obviously opposing that. So I'll share my experience with you, and because I practice in Canada, and what has been happening there in my experience, because I used to administer a program where human rights of anybody, if they were violated, the complaints in civil service, the complaints would come to me. I would generally assign someone to take the matter to court, go to the tribunal, find an investigator. But then gradually I found that the best way to deal with that was to bring the two parties together,
Yeah.
to make them see each other's point of view, to first of all earn their trust as an honest broker. If you're not an honest broker, obviously they won't trust you. So once you have won their trust and the two parties have shared with you what the issues are, then the mediator very skillfully, because it's a very difficult area to win the trust with those opposing sides, then the mediator will bring them together.
Okay.
And I can tell you, Maha, that when the first time the two parties which were in conflict with each other, when they come to that room, if looks could kill, there'll be dead bodies on the floor.
I think that happened. I think that's the reason why they're disputing, because they're not wanting to see each other. But okay, now, okay, that's fine. That's, you know, that's what you're practicing abroad. But let's bring it back to Pakistan again. So within Pakistan, that's not how it works. So how is it working here now?
But this is what I'm saying. It should work.
Okay, but that's not, should or, no, we're not talking about the shoulds or the woulds. Right now, we have the Resolution Act. How is one individual, as a citizen, how am I supposed to utilize this, like in my general, you know, my business or my personal issues? How will this affect my life?
I think, again, you use the same court system that is already implementing that.
Okay.
I understand that some provinces don't even have that.
Right. Yeah, but is it being
Punjab
passed in
has it.
Islamabad? Yes.
It's in Islamabad. And use the court system as is and apply it to your case to a point where you can actually come to a win-win situation through your lawyers and through the court-appointed arbitrator.
Right.
But it will still be an arbitration.
Okay.
It will not be mediation. It will be ADR, but it will be one aspect of ADR,
Right.
which is still not the most effective form.
Okay.
Chances are it will still be better than litigation, because in litigation, what happens that the delay has been so enormous. You understand that there was a case just 2 weeks ago, which was decided after 100 years.
Oh, goodness.
And 4 generations went through that. Chances are that those people who go through this regulated court system, they will be able to avoid the delays which has been caused.
Okay, and now this is what brings me back to another point. Now, I also know someone who recently, he also was going through this situation where it was a land situation, you know, someone had sold the land once but then resold it, you know, those kind of behaviors which people are trying to eradicate within this society. But now with situations like that, anyone from any social background is able to utilize, you know, benefit from this? Or do you think that we need to do a lot more work on our system before it can be a fair playing field for everyone?
Fair playing field. There are 2 aspects to it. One is from the client's point of view, people who are in dispute. The other is creating an infrastructure where you have people trained in mediation.
Okay.
That is crucial. Your court system will actually not be able to implement this program unless lawyers are trained in the art of mediation and non-lawyers as well, like it is happening in other countries, Australia, Canada, and US, because many lawyers are, in addition to their legal practice, they're coming into mediation.
Okay.
Many non-lawyer people, universities are providing courses where they're trained as mediators and they're recognized by judges, by courts, because if the 2 parties have agreed to that, then obviously there's nothing you should object to.
Exactly, and so I think with this kind of process, it also saves time and it saves money as well. Is that correct?
It's one of the cheapest way of getting justice.
Okay, so if anyone is out there trying to look for justice, do look into ADR because it could speed up the judgment
The
as well.
bottom line matters, and for bottom line, this guarantees the best possible outcome in the shortest time, in the cheapest possible way.
Wonderful. And just before we wrap up the segment, what are the processes that one would go through? Because you developed a 7-step process yourself, which you implement. So what is that? And can we apply that within Pakistan?
The 7 Cs is actually a mediators training program.
Okay.
So with this method, you train mediators, and the 7 Cs of conciliation, compassion, commitment, compromise, concentration, communication, and culmination.
Okay.
This is a long process. I wish you had more time and I could explain each process how it can help. But basically, once you go through this, you're guaranteed that the outcome will be the best possible outcome within given circumstances.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time to discuss this. And we will try and get you back to discuss the 7 Cs and talk about the processes. But thank you very much for shedding
Thank you
light
very
on
much.
this. So that was our show on alternative dispute resolution. This is this is an act which has been passed in certain parts of Pakistan. We are using it within Islamabad from the research that I did, and it is a alternative method rather than going through litigation. As we just mentioned, it could save you a lot of time, it could save you money, and it's also a much better way because you're having communication rather than having a much more aggressive approach to it. But with that, we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, we're going to lighten up the mood and give you some information about the social world and the music world and what's happening within Pakistan. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we were shedding some light on our legal system within Pakistan and one aspect of it, which has now been passed through a resolution, and it's called the Alternative Dispute Act, which is basically resolving disputes alternatively. So rather than going to litigation, you can use a court-appointed arbitrator who's should be a neutral party, but things always get complicated. But it's something within Pakistan that we're working on, and it is taking the legal system forward and modernizing it a bit more, because this is used internationally as well. But enough of that, because I think that we've shed enough information for you guys to digest for the morning. But now we're going to be talking about the music scene within Pakistan. And by music scene, I mean a certain artist who has been on our show before. We were very lucky to have him on the show. He's always been wonderful. He is a rapper. He does produces his own music, and recently he did perform at the Mad Decent Block Party Festival, which is a international lineup of musicians that came to Pakistan, and it was organized and it happened just recently over the weekend. And we've been joined by none other than Mickey Murshid, who is our rapper and producer. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. You know, you got a real tongue twister name there.
I know.
It's like,
Mad Decent Block Party is also pretty difficult to pronounce.
Exactly. I was just looking at this. I was like, typical. The day Shahzad abandons me. I've got all these like tongue twisters. But anyway, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, because you're one of the nice artists that we have on the show.
One of the nice artists, generally, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So
We'll talk about that as well. But congratulations. You did open up the festival on the weekend.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did that come to be? Because Diplo, as a lot of our viewers, I think, know him, he's an international star.
So in 2012, I started releasing music on SoundCloud. And it took a while, because I'm a hardcore rapper and there's no market for English hardcore rap in Pakistan per se. But eventually it started catching on, because we're in the age of the internet and you can promote your own stuff the way you want to.
Yeah.
So last year I released a song and it kind of blew up, locally at least.
Yep.
So that got the attention of a bunch of other artists as well. And I developed a friendship with some of them, such as Adil and all, Adil Omar. So I think he initially put my name through to perform, which I appreciate. And after that, the rest is history. So I met Diplo's tour manager. I was officially an opening act, and it was surreal, because something so unique coming to Islamabad, out of all places, and kind of breaking that reputation we have where we're stiff and not accepting towards these other artists is kind of, it's good for the exposure for the masses and everything. So it was pretty cool.
That's wonderful. And shout out to Adil and Talal, who did a wonderful job getting this. And a lot of youth and youngsters enjoyed the music, and it was it's something that was different, and we did mention it as well on the show, I think, before it was happening as well. But so you managed to get onto that. It was about persistence, and we talked about a little bit about your career last time you were on the show as well. But since then, you're talking about writing your own music. We were talking about you hadn't had a video at that point, and so since then, fill us in, because we know you were an official opening act for the festival. But tell us what else was going on in between that time.
Basically, there was a point actually where I was about to quit music, because I
really?
went,
After our show?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Sadly enough, it didn't give me that push, But there was this point for like a month or something. All these tortured artists have these phases. Okay, what if I'm delusional? What if I'm not good enough? So I went through that for a little while.
Yeah.
But and I completely stopped writing. I tried, because it took over my life essentially. It's all I was thinking about, all I was doing. But the show kind of gave me the push to make me realize, okay, this is what I think I'm meant to do.
Okay.
So after the show, after I finalized the show and everything, that's when I started working on new music again.
Okay.
Got back in the studio, met a couple of directors. I'm working on my first video right now, actually.
Great. For the
for a
song that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
the song that shall not be named.
It's like Voldemort. But I'm working on that right now, and that should come out by March. I'm working with Shabazz Shigri.
Okay.
So that should be interesting. So this really prompted me to get back into the scene. And
wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm glad you didn't quit and give up, because that would have been a shame. It's very hard to find artists who write and produce their own music, and it's lyrics people can actually connect to, which is
Yeah,
which are
man.
relevant.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, so now we have a video with you. It is of Diplo. So let's go take a look and see what we've got.
Hi, I'm Diplo. I'm so excited to be here in Pakistan. My first time ever visiting Pakistan. So many young fans here. I'm excited to play for them. I think they're coming from Karachi, Lahore. My advice for young Pakistani musicians: try to stay original. Try to stay with something that keeps you separate from everybody else. I think it's important to also grow out through the internet. However you can get yourself heard.
Where are you now that I need you?
And so, you know, I want to thank you guys for being so hospitable, and I will see you guys on tour. Maybe I'll come back to Pakistan soon with Major Lazer, or I'll see you somewhere on the road. So, thanks a lot, Pakistan.
That's a wonderful message, and I think that's, you know, he touched upon some really important points, which I'm going to also now ask you.
Okay.
Like you said, at one point you wanted to quit after you'd appeared on our show, and you know, we were really impressed, and so was everyone else, because your material was different to what's being pumped out there. Because a lot of the times people stay quite commercial, or you know, it's something that's maybe not socially relevant or politically relevant, etc. How important do you think it is to actually put across what you're experiencing musically?
Put across what I'm
As in, so like the social situation. So your song "Breathe" is about drug abuse. You know, we know, you know, the social culture here. Things are we've done lots of shows on that. You know, drug abuse is picking up, especially within youngsters. Or, you know, "Lifted" was also about addiction. So how, you know, why do you take that inspiration?
See, one thing I've noticed with the music over here, as you were saying, is very commercialized, right? So you're supposed to talk about 2 or 3 topics, leave it there.
Okay.
A love song, maybe a slight party song, or a wedding song, right? 9 out of 10 times. I saw the issues of the people around me and people I'd seen generally growing up. And I thought that if I can't help them on a one-on-one level, maybe I could write something or create something that can kind of show them that they're not alone, per se, you know what I mean? So because of that, and because of my influences growing up talking about real issues, real life problems, their lives in the most honest, raw way possible, I thought that was lacking in Pakistani music. So I thought maybe I'd fill that gap by being honest and everything, you know?
But you felt a natural inclination towards that, like, kind of area of music. Okay, so for me, I'm really not good with genres. I've said this multiple times, so I apologize now. But I feel like with the stuff that you write, it's more of a hip-hop vibe to it, an influence. But rapping and hip-hop is different. No, you're rapping hip-hop.
It's
So
hip-hop is a genre, you can say rap is what you do. So basically, it falls under the same tree.
okay.
Yeah.
That means I'm mixing something else, and I'm
R&B.
trying to. No, it was something else. I'm trying to be too clever, and now it looks stupid.
We're gonna figure this out eventually.
Yeah,
Laura.
but not on the show. Okay, so you did the songs. You're making a video now. You've supported. You know, you did the opening act for the festival. One thing that I did notice regarding the lineup was that it was mainly all male artists. What's up with that?
See, we know.
Well, I didn't notice it. My friend noticed it, and she made me look at it. I was like, that's a very interesting point.
No, I noticed it too.
Yeah.
My
Are
inner
there no
feminist-
female artists that can do this?
Of course there are.
Yeah.
Men and female are capable of doing the same thing the same exact way. Women could possibly be better than us at it. But the kind of industry we're in, either they don't push the female artists enough, or the female artists, because of the culture that they've grown up in and the society, are too scared to put themselves out there, you know, to be an artist at that level. Hence, the men in Pakistan are going to push themselves and promote themselves and put themselves out there way more and get noticed as a result. So I feel like it's more about the society we're in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, opposed to a woman's ability. Of course, a woman can do what we can
Yeah, because
do.
there's been loads of shows, even online. You know, then I know lots of artists as well that, you know, they've really polished themselves up and they're really evolving and they're getting better and better each time. So, what do you think is the next step now for you as an artist? Because done this after having, you know, a midlife crisis
An
very
existential
early.
crisis, yeah.
Yeah, and so what are you working on now after the show? You said you started working on new materials. So.
Yeah, I'm working on one video right now, which we're going to shoot at the end of the month. And after that, I'm going to shoot another video, so that's 2 videos. I'm going to do some live performances, hopefully get out of here and try making an international thing.
Okay.
Talking to some people right now.
Okay.
I'm going to release 2 singles after that, and hopefully by the summer I can have a 5-song EP ready.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
And regarding the international community, how, like you mentioned earlier, you used SoundCloud, you know, initially when you first started. How has that only helped you, especially as you've been growing as an artist and personally?
Man, it's just, it's accessible, SoundCloud. All you have to do is go on the website and click play, and it just plays in front of you on a nice stream that doesn't lag. So it's really good for new artists to get their music out there, SoundCloud. And YouTube is full of different stuff. It's harder to promote yourself on YouTube when you're a new artist, right?
Okay.
But SoundCloud has definitely helped me a lot.
Okay. And regarding the future plans, are you planning to stick to social media, or how are you going to kind of crack the international scene?
As I said earlier, it's a digital age, so it's all just one big, you know, thing now. So I'm planning on definitely being more active on social media, because I had this own problem where I couldn't hype myself up because, you know, everyone just like walks around like I'm the best. You know? I'm this, I'm that. I think that's so corny generally that I could never do it. But now I guess I'm gonna have to start hyping myself
Well, you know,
up like that.
you can there's a difference between hyping yourself and acting like an idiot. Isn't there? So I think
there's a very fine line.
very fine line, and I think a lot of those people have crossed that line, and it's nowhere to be seen now. But actually, before, so anyway, I don't know. I'm only joking. You guys are wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, regarding your music, before I ask you any more questions, because I always ask questions and I make it too dry, I'm going to ask you to perform something for us.
Okay.
I did tell you that we would do this. So what are you going to perform for us, and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the only thing I can perform for you right now is an a cappella. Basically, it's a verse from a song that I've already written.
Okay.
The one that shall not be named.
Okay. Yes, we're not allowed to say that.
And it's clean. So don't
okay,
worry
good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Should I just start?
Yep. Are you ready?
Let me just warm up my vocal.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was on a level like Mickey looking devil-like, trying to get commission steady, wishing I get televised. Saw you on the gram with a bam, getting hella likes. Don't you know the man got a plan, getting hella hype? Huh? Really? Yeah, I'm trying to blow now, gotta get ahead. For the low down, I ain't got the energy to waste on a bro now. Waste on a waste, man, do it for the bro now. Nah, baby, I ain't really say that. You know I be drinking, but I prayed for a way back.
Excellent. And so that's from your latest track, and it's on SoundCloud, so anyone can check it out if they want. But I noticed something.
It's 8 a.m., so I'm like rusty and everything. So
that's fine. I appreciate that you did it. It's good. Now, I'm glad you could remember the lyrics. We've had people forget the lyrics of their songs.
Yeah.
But I noticed that you touch your nose every time.
It's a reflex.
It's a reflex. Okay.
It's like some rappers do this, some rappers do this. I just do
okay.
this. Yeah,
I think
I got it from like kung fu movies.
Okay.
You know, like Bruce Lee would do this before he'd fight someone. So I don't know why I'm so aggressive in life, but that's pretty much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And now I just want to move across from, sidestep from talking about your career, and, best of luck with it, and, we can provide you a platform whenever you're ready to release the video.
Oh, whenever. Yeah.
Please do bring it to us.
I will, for sure.
But for the other artists out there, you said it's a digital era right now. People can promote, share their work publicly. But festivals like the one which we just had recently, how do you think they assist the music scene here and also open up the doors for everyone, not just a certain select few?
Basically, by bringing shows like that over here, festivals or whatever, artists like Diplo in general, you're giving the Pakistani audience something that they've never had before. Okay, I think Bryan Adams went to Karachi like 20 years ago or something. But
and we still remember to this day.
Yeah, exactly, right? So these small moments, because we're so demonized in the foreign media, right, that everyone thinks the second you land to Pakistan, it's just a bunch of terrorists. But that's not the case. So first of all, it shows us in a better light that we are capable of having a crowd with 5,000 people just enjoying themselves. And it gives the crowd the confidence and the people in Islamabad the confidence, or even Karachi or Lahore, to see Diplo be like, wow, if I want to pursue this, maybe I can actually pursue this. Because there are other Pakistani artists sharing a stage with one of the biggest musicians in the world right now.
Yep.
So I believe it's a good thing. It's a
Okay.
great thing overall. Yeah.
Excellent. And I really hope that, you also have that stage one day, and you're kind of promoting, taking people along with you. But finally as well, because we are running short of time, is there anything that you would like to share with your fans that are watching, or anyone that's watching about anything, like regarding the music? Or
Just look forward to, do I look into that camera?
yeah, look into this.
Look forward to my music video that's coming out. Follow me on Instagram, that's Mickey Murshid. And yeah, a lot of good music is going to come out and a lot of material, and it's going to be a very busy year in terms of that. So
Good.
yeah.
And we look forward to that, but we do have a final video of you, which we're going to share with all of our viewers. Let's have a look at that, and when you come back, I'll wrap up the show.
Oh God.
So this was in Islamabad, this was Diplo, and he's also wearing a kameez, but it just shows you that these are the things that are happening within this city, and we will start sharing a lot more what's happening within Islamabad, Karachi, Lahore as well, so that you guys have an idea, because I think that also gets kind of hidden in all of that. And it wasn't your clip, sorry, that was of Diplo.
Yeah.
I thought it was yours.
It's fine.
But
yeah.
it was a great crowd. And people behave themselves.
Yeah,
I think that's the
surprisingly.
biggest thing. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing people use to stop them. But guys, these things happen within Pakistan. There's a lot of fun, there's a lot of positivity, and there's a lot of progression within the country. So we need to also, yes, there are bad things, but we also know that there are really good things happening, and we need to take a balanced approach forward. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If you guys would like any information on our artist or any of the topics we've talked about today, log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, our Twitter page, World This Morning without a G, our Daily Motion page, World This Morning. The repeat is at 11:05 p.m. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And tomorrow too, we have some music for you from another country, so do stay tuned and do tune in. Bye-bye.